New episode of the Just Baseball Show. You got Aram Leighton, Peter Appel, and thankfully Peter Appel, because we got a lot of people that want to hear from you, Pete, about the Yankees start to that Blue Jay series. We got a little bit to talk about there, but we're also going to be recapping NLDS game twos. We're going to talk a little bit about maybe the biggest issue for each team and what we think that could be, even for the teams that look good. What could the Achilles heel be? And then previewing Mariners Tigers game 3 and some underrated players so far, Pete. But I got to start before you plug BetMGM and let everybody know who's brought us this episode. How you feeling, buddy?
All you got to win is one. All you got to win is one. And then what will they say? Because then
you got to
all you got to do is win another. And then anything could happen in game 5. That's how I'm feeling. I'm trying to be as optimistic as possible, even though there's actually no reasons to be optimistic on the field. 0. But what, are we just going to give up and die?
They're on their way.
Stop. It's all brought to us by BetMGM, the sportsbook board in Vegas. Remember, folks, download BetMGM, whether it be on iOS or Android, and use promo code JustBaseball. Why? First bet offer up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first wager loses. Just remember, gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 21 years or older. Terms and conditions apply. This segment is for Phillies-Dodgers. We don't even have to talk about Yankees, Blue Jays until the next one. Don't start it already with me.
I just wanted to buy us an extra minute because this segment is 10 minutes. Of course, SportsGrid episode. So thank you for those who are joining us on SportsGrid or, of course, on any podcast platform you got. You can find us on there as well. But I wanted to buy an extra minute of a little bit of Yankees Blue Jays talk because this segment's 10, the next one's 8. But we should get into it now that we're a couple minutes into it already. Of this Dodgers-Phillies series, I mean, we've had some lopsided games in some other series, something Fink and I talked about on the last episode. But, Pete, a couple really close games. Was kind of lopsided until it wasn't in this Phillies-Dodgers game 2. But regardless, it's just been great baseball in this series. I know Phillies fans are upset, but you got a great start from Luzardo. You got some fight late in the end of it. And it's not like the Phillies are just giving this thing up. We'll talk a little bit about some issues. But overall, it's just been, I would say, just an impressive performance by the Dodgers.
The Dodgers seem inevitable. Let's recap it for those who might have missed it, even though I don't know how you could have, but I think it's going to highlight some of those issues you alluded to earlier. No scoring until the 7th inning, as both Blake Snell and Jesus Luzardo were phenomenal. At one point, Luzardo had retired 17 straight Dodgers, and Blake Snell became the first pitcher in Dodgers history to allow 1 or fewer hits with 9+ strikeouts in a postseason game. That's right. No Kershaw, no Sandy Koufax. Blake Snell's the first to ever get that feat. Dodgers put up four spot in the 7th, with Kike Hernandez getting it started with a 35.4-mile-an-hour dribbler that barely scored. Teoscar slid right under the tag, and then Will Smith pinch hit and drove in the first pitch he saw to left field, scoring 2, and then Ohtani drove home the 4th on a single. Trey Turner would bring in the Phillies' first run in the 8th, and in the 9th, the Phillies put up 2 more, but with a runner on second, nobody out. All the momentum, Aram. Bryson Stott lays down a bunt. Castellanos out at third, and the Phillies couldn't bring in that tying run. Dodgers take a 2-0 series lead. That was a tough play. I assume that's the biggest issue you alluded to.
The bunt, or just I was honestly, the issue I think is the back half of that lineup. We'll talk a little bit about that, but that wasn't the issue late in this game. A couple guys came up pretty big, whether it was off the bench or whatever it may be, but you had all the pressure. And I want to kind of start at the end here and then we'll work backwards. But I just felt like, okay, 9th inning, this Dodgers bullpen has definitely had some challenges and they haven't gotten it out yet, right? I mean, you start this 9th inning with just hit after hit after hit. And I feel like the last thing you do, I understand a lefty comes in, you get Vesia in for Trinan. I just still feel like you don't give them an out. That first out is almost a bit of a sigh of relief, no matter the circumstance. And I understand goal is to move Castellanos over to third. Castellanos is not very quick on top of that. So if you're going to do that, maybe pinch run for him. And the second that he showed Stott at the plate, showed bunt on the first pitch, took it for a ball, it became very clear that the Dodgers were going to run that wheel play. And the design of that wheel play is going to get third baseman, basically everybody else crashing in. Shortstop's going to slide over to third and be there to go get that lead runner. It was a good bunt, but the Dodgers were playing for that lead out, and you have Castellanos at second base, which is why they were playing for that lead out. I hate that. I understand that Stott is not great against lefties. All he had to do was roll over. Like it didn't need to be a great hit here, or maybe drag that bunt if he really wanted to. 1-0 count. I would have rather had him look for something that he could roll over there, and it was a slider right down the middle. I'm not saying he would have hit it well. Vesia's slider's good, but he could have rolled that over. Is it Monday morning quarterbacking here, or did you kind of hate it in the moment?
No, I hated it in the moment. As soon as he started to square, I'm like, no, don't do that, because I'm thinking to myself, at least Bryson Stott can roll over just like you said. At least he can maybe hit a fly ball, like pull a fly ball, because Vesia, he's got that high ride fastball, so it's easier said than done to just get a ground ball to the right side. But even a fly ball to right field could potentially move him over. Or, I mean, I know Bryson Stott isn't the best hitter against lefties, but what about a base hit?
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's not impossible. It's not impossible. And you had the Dodgers on the ropes. Yep. You had them. It's the playoffs. We see this. It's all about building momentum. And they built it to the peak in that inning. You're getting 2 runs scored. You have no outs. Runner on second base. Bryson Stott has already had a huge hit for the Phillies throughout their postseason runs of old. Like, Bryson Stott is not Otto Kemp off the bench, with all due respect to Otto Kemp. It's Bryson Stott. You should trust him with the bat in his hands rather than bunting. But then I had problems with the bunt. Bryson Stott, we got to get that down the first base line.
Yeah. I don't think he knew that. I don't think he realized it'd be crashing like that. I don't know. But that part was really frustrating. And then even more so when Bader comes up with a big hit, gritty knock there for a guy that's got like hamstring, groin, whatever. He can't even run really, but lasers one. And then they pinch run Weston Wilson for him. And then you ultimately, have Kepler, who had a nice AB before, not able to come through there, but with 2 outs, a lot tougher. And you ultimately needed a left-on-left hit anyways now to win the game. So that's the other part that was frustrating for me. But on the positive side of things, I thought this was, when you talk about the two sides, because we've had individual pitching performances that have been amazing. But in terms of guys shoving on each side, I thought this was as fun of a pitching matchup between starters that we've had between Jesus Luzardo and Blake Snell, where both guys go 6 innings. Luzardo allowed 2 earned, but he was fantastic up until the end there. And of course, Snell, as you mentioned, 6 innings, a 1-hit ball. These guys were awesome.
On the 15th anniversary of Roy Halladay's no-hitter in the playoffs, too. 2 dominant pitching performances. Blake Snell, tip your cap to this man. I mean, he is now one of 3 Dodgers pitchers ever with 18 strikeouts and 2 earned or less in their first 2 postseason starts with the Dodgers, joining Clayton Kershaw and Sandy Koufax. When everyone was worried about signing Juan Soto, Dodgers grabbed Blake Snell because they knew these innings were coming in the postseason. His postseason ERA is now below 3. You hand the ball to him, doesn't matter where. It could be in the bank, could be at home, could be against any offense. I trust this guy. The Dodgers trust this guy. And now they got Yamamoto going game 3. This series, the Dodgers just feel inevitable to me. That's why I bet Dodgers World Series before the playoffs started. I bet them again. And then I bet them again. Because I do feel that this Dodgers team, while a lot of people hate them, they're probably in the middle of a dynasty.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be on the outside looking in and say after the fact, this is a dynasty. I want to ride this train. I just don't know when the Dodgers lose. It could be a blown bullpen game. But even so, they're ahead by 3. So they just have to not get destroyed in the bottom of the 9th.
Yeah. And so we're going to talk about strengths and weaknesses here and like some concerns. And that's where I'm going to bring up some of my thoughts there for both of these teams on the negative side. But I thought really fun game, really impressive performance from both sides. And we're going to talk a little bit about maybe the downside when we come right back here.
MGM, the sportsbook board in Vegas. Remember, folks, download BetMGM, whether it be on iOS or Android, and use promo code JustBaseball. Why? First bet offer up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first wager loses.
Shedeur Sanders will be starting for the Browns by week 9. I am buying this. I am buying this absolutely. At a certain point, Joe Flacco just not the answer. We know they already made the change. Dylan Gabriel starting this week. We know that. But maybe a team needs a quarterback, and they're willing to trade for Joe Flacco for some level of stability, and then we simply get nothing out of Dylan Gabriel. He is a rookie quarterback when it's all said and done. Maybe there's just no production from him. So why not just move on to a different rookie quarterback that you have just to see what you have? And then, as George, as you mentioned up at the top, you have to evaluate going into next year's draft. So I will absolutely buy this.
The next 4 weeks, Minnesota, Pittsburgh, Miami, New England. I mean, the question is this. If they truly believe that Gabriel could be a future starter, you got to give him more than 4 weeks, right? That's 4 weeks is not enough. Minnesota, it's a rough game, all right, being played with England this week. Pittsburgh, they haven't have a defense. Miami is not very good. New England's supposed to have a good defense, has it here. I want to sort of go. I mean, I think Shedeur Sanders is going to start at some point this week. I don't think it's going to be by week 10, although that does make sense here to name him the starter during the bye week, get him 2 weeks here. I'm going to go more, maybe double digits, week 12, week 14, somewhere around there. Because I want to give Gabriel a longer run. I think Gabriel might do some damage here against these lesser defenses here. So I think give him a longer runway here. That being said, I do not think Gabriel is the long-term future of this team. I don't think he's a franchise quarterback at all here. I think he's a number 2 at best here. Sanders could be a number 1. I have doubts about him too. I think Sanders has a better shot. So by week 9, by week 10, I'll sell that. But if you would give me a couple more weeks, I would have bought it.
Fantasy Sports Today, Fridays starting at 3 p.m. Eastern, only on SportsGrid.
All right, so we have the series that everybody's been waiting for from you. And I know it's mostly going to be a preview here, Peter, but I do want to talk a little bit about what's got us here. You got Yankees, Blue Jays, Game 3 coming up. How are you feeling going into Game 3, given the way that the first 2 ball games have gone so far?
So I made a TikTok about this. I made a video, and I said that I passed through all 5 stages of grief.
Already?
And I'm on acceptance. How could I not? We're watching the same games. We're not playing in the same league as them. It is like Thanksgiving, where it's all the adults against the kids in a football game, but all the adults huddled together and says, you know what? We're going to pummel these children. That's what it looks like. We can't pitch. We can't hit. We can't trust anybody in the bullpen. And the Blue Jays jump on us before I'm even able to turn on the TV to watch the game. It's like as soon as I press, all right, the Yankee game is on. Shoot, I turned it on 2 minutes late. What's the score? 5-0? We're playing a different game. And I want to give all the credit to the Blue Jays because I see a lot of Yankee fans, and I assume you do too. Oh, the Yankees, it's their fault. They're not playing good. No. The Blue Jays are playing perfect baseball. They knew that these fastball splitter guys gives the Yankees fits. And what did they do? They went with Gausman game 1. They went with their rookie, Trey Savage, game 2. They didn't go Barrios. They didn't go Bassett. They didn't go Scherzer. They knew this was the perfect matchup. And look how it unfolded. And then their offensive plan against the Yankees starting pitching. We just saw Max Fried dominate the Red Sox. They jumped all over him like he was Kyle Freeland. With all due respect to Kyle Freeland. They've played perfect baseball. And the Yankees have played badly. It's perfect against bad baseball. Yeah. But it's not on the Yankees. This is all pro Blue Jays. They are showing why they won the division. They're showing why they won the season series. They're showing why they were the number 1 seed in the American League. This Blue Jays team is a problem.
Yeah. I was going to say, I felt like, so of course, Yankees could be doing a little bit more. As always, when you're down 2-0 and the pitching is, gotten beat up. I mean, you would have liked to see more from Fried, as we're going to talk about, or as we talked about last episode. But at the same time, there's part of me that just feels like no matter who would be playing the Blue Jays right now, I think they'd be getting their teeth kicked in. I really do believe that with the way they're swinging the bats right now. And there's no way to truly know that. But I am interested to see what happens in Game 3 here, where I can't count these Yankees out totally yet. When it's a 5-game set, you've got Rodon going for you, Bieber opposite, and of course Bieber's been great, but that's a guy that I think the Yankees can get to, right? I think it's clear that the splitter guys have just been picking them apart, and that's what happened in game 1 and 2, especially Savage, who they haven't seen. But with Rodon opposite of Bieber, and our friends at BetMGM, I'm pretty sure have the Yankees at a decently heavy favorite for a playoff game. How are you feeling going into this one? And I mean, you mentioned it kind of facetiously, but not at the same time. I know there's some truth to it. You get one here, you somehow steal another, and then it's winner take all, right? That's the 5-game sets. And I know that's funny. It's like, yeah, that's how it works. You win 3 in a row. But it's like, get one, and then you're playing the next ball game, and all of a sudden it gets late in that one, and then the Blue Jays start to feel it a little bit. The tides can turn a bit quicker. I don't think it's going to happen, but just being candid, I think the Blue Jays are a wagon. But I'm curious, like, how do you see this game 3 going, or do you just think that this offense is inevitable right now for the Blue Jays?
Carlos Rodon has to show up. He's thrown twice against the Blue Jays this year, both in Toronto, which is a good sign because Toronto doesn't lose at home and their offense is prolific. 5 innings, 2 runs. Jays have a 95 WRC plus this season against lefties on the road. So there is an area where we can say Carlos Rodon turns in a good outing. But how can we say that Shane Bieber won't? And here's an area that concerns me. Jazz Chisholm, Trent Grisham, Ben Rice, especially against the Blue Jays so far, and Cody Bellinger have all struggled. Shane Bieber has allowed a 434 OPS to lefties this season. So who's going to have to step up? It's probably going to have to be Judge. It's probably going to have to be Stanton. It's going to have to be the right-handed bats in the Yankees lineup. Now, the way baseball works, all the lefties are going to hit Bieber, and Judge and Stanton will do nothing. But that's the matchup at hand here. And Bieber was brought in to win this game.
Yeah.
And Bieber, when we're talking about executing a plan, like the Blue Jays have done throughout this series so far, their plan has been perfect, A++. Who's one of the best pitchers at executing a plan in Major League Baseball?
Yeah, Shane Bieber. And I think there's a reason why they gave him that road game too, right? Let the rookie pitch at home.
Yep.
And let's go let our unfazed vet who executes go to New York and pitch in that environment.
They're playing the Yankees like a fiddle. So the only reason I'm confident in the Yankees winning this game is anything can happen. But that's baseball. That's the only reason I'm confident.
You can get to that bullpen, right? Like if Bieber, as long as Bieber's not going 7, I think if you're the Yankees, I think the bats are going to wake up. It's just, as you mentioned, like, can you keep the Blue Jays bats at bay a little bit here? And can you get Bieber out of the game maybe in the 5th or 6th inning to get to that bullpen that's been decent overall? But I mean, we saw the Yankees get to them the other game. I know it's kind of garbage time, but I think garbage time in baseball doesn't work the same way. It's not like they just brought up some dude from AA to go get those innings. Like, those are guys on the postseason roster coming out of the bullpen. I don't care. So that's the one side of it. But there's also a world where I just see the Blue Jays blitz them. You mentioned some keys there. Like, if you could circle one thing other than Rodon, obviously slowing down this offense, what is the you can guarantee one thing to make you feel better about the Yankees game that's not obvious. Like, what is something that you would really want to see happen for the Yankees that you think would increase their chances outside of Judge hit homer, obviously?
I know it's Judge hit homer.
Yeah.
I mean, he has not hit a home run so far in this postseason. And you look at his stats and he's got all these singles. It's great. And, he has a couple of RBIs, but his clutch factor just hasn't been there. It hasn't. But Stanton has been the guy that helped the Yankees get to the World Series last year, right? Judge didn't even have that great of a postseason, but Stanton was the guy. And he's been dreadful so far. He's been the worst hitter in the Yankees lineup. So if him and Judge set the table in this game, the Yankees can win. And the matchup is at hand. Bieber has a lot of 936 OPS to righties this year. Those two have to deliver.
You've got 20 seconds here. Give me your prediction, or 30 seconds, and why.
Yankees win 11-0. They crush Bieber, and we're going to game 4. I don't need 20 seconds.
All right. I hope for your sake. Honestly, I hope for everybody's sake. I just want more games right now. I want more games. So I hope you're right. We're going to recap Brewers Cubs in a moment.
At this event, people from Amazon and Alexa made it very clear that in addition to Sports Highlight coming up, you will be able to perhaps buy sports tickets to events, buy movie tickets, arrange fantasy football teams, and I think somewhere down the road, and maybe not too far down the road, given the NBA on Prime deal, they will allow sports betting on the television set through Alexa Plus.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
I'm done with the Buffalo Bills, and I'm not upset about it because they look vulnerable. I cannot believe this team is 4-0 because they could easily be 1-3. They go on their heels, and I can't believe they have not one but 2 double-digit victories in games they could have very well lost.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
The Americans got to find answers in these partnerships, and I think they need to look at their who's making these decisions from a stat standpoint.
Well, it's so funny to me, especially coming off of the Walker Cup just a few weeks before, how it just seems like there's this glaring chasm between American partnered match play and American individual, singles match play.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Mike Trout, will he ask for a trade? And maybe I'm a bit of a Neanderthal for asking this, and people are going to say, listen, he's never leaving. I refuse to accept that we're just not going to get Mike Trout postseason baseball ever again. Because clearly when healthy, he can still do it. But he's also rarely healthy and still kind of expensive. It's complicated.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
All right, we're back here, and we could spend an entire 6 minutes here on the biggest issues of the Yankees, but we're going to do biggest issues of all 4 teams. I hope the Yankees win the next game, so then we can talk more about their issues even after a win. But we've got, I think, some highlights for just what the biggest issues can be for all 4 ball clubs. And I'll let you lead the way, and I'll just kind of give you my stamp of that's what I've got too, or maybe, hey, I also am a little bit concerned about this.
Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, and Trey Turner are a combined 2 for 21 in this series so far. Over the last 2 postseasons, Trey Turner and Kyle Schwarber are a combined 6 for 45. It's a 133 batting average with 19 strikeouts. The Phillies have gotten consistent pitching performances. The bullpen, there were some tipping pitches involved. What can you do? But the Phillies are the Phillies because Kyle Schwarber hit 56 home runs. The Phillies are the Phillies because Trey Turner, if he didn't get hurt at the end of the season, might have led Major League Baseball in hits and was he won the NL batting title. And Bryce Harper is Bryce Harper. Those 3, that's an enormous issue. I think that is the biggest issue and a reason why the Phillies, right, they've only lost by a run and 2 runs in the other game. Imagine if those 3 were just average. I'm not asking for much. Just be okay. It might be 2-0 Phillies.
And I alluded to this in the conversation with Fink last episode. It's like, it just feels like if Schwarber and Harper or even Turner right now, like, aren't getting it done, then you look at Bohm, Real Muto's had some good at-bats, but Castellanos, and I'm like, oh man, who else is going to come up here? Like, it feels like those are the guys that need to be producing for you. And shockingly, even though like they haven't been, it's been other guys that have actually been picking it up and putting a couple runs across the board for them. But yeah, it just feels like when you've got Alec Bohm in the cleanup spot and Kyle Schwarber, Trey Turner, and Bryce Harper aren't doing it for you, I don't know how else you're going to score runs. And so I agree. I think it's unrealistic to say Bohm needs to look like a cleanup hitter. I think the reality here is that Kyle Schwarber needs to look like one of the best power hitters in Major League Baseball. And I know he's working his butt off to try to get there. And Bryce Harper needs to be the playoff icon that we've seen the last few years. And neither of those things are happening. So I don't see how the Phillies get a game without those guys being a big part of the offense. What's the next thing that stands out to you?
On the Dodgers side, the bullpen still is a concern because I think they're the best team here. They have the best starting rotation. I think it's the best unit in the postseason. And I think the second best unit in the postseason is that offense. You're not going to win every game by 4 runs and then almost blow a lead, and that's how you win postseason games. It's not going to work. You will get bit, right? We've seen how good the Brewers look. We've seen how good the Blue Jays look. And maybe it's the Mariners that get past. These teams aren't just going to lay down. Maybe they will. The Phillies are incredible, so maybe they will, and it won't end up mattering. But Blake Treinen came in again and struggled. We thought he'd fix that arm angle. Didn't look great in that one. We haven't even seen Tanner Scott yet. Now Roki has stepped in, and I guess he's their closer. But, it's been Tyler Glass now for innings, right? Vesia can't just be the only reliever that you trust outside of Roki Sasaki. And maybe they're able to piece it together, and this concern doesn't matter. But I still feel like the concern matters.
Yeah, I'm with you. And it felt like it was a forced, like, let's try to get something positive here for Treinen because we need him. And it just was not even a good spot to put him out there. Sasaki saves the day coming in, but it almost seemed like it would be too little too late. Fortunately for the Dodgers, Sasaki was able to get that final out, but Vesia, saving Treinen there to go get the lefties. You got two more.
Milwaukee, it's hard to find a concern.
Yeah.
My one would be, is Brandon Woodruff going to come back? Because I look at the Brewers and I'm not really concerned about the offense. I was going to come into this segment saying, what's going on with Jackson Chorio's hamstring?
Well, he looks okay.
He's just setting records. So who cares, right? I have no concerns with the bullpen. I thought, is Andrew Vaughn going to show up? Yes, clearly. Yeah. So what's the concern? It would be when you get to a 7-game series, it can't always be a bullpen game. And what you showed us is that Quinn Priester, I guess he's going game 3, but you didn't want to go with him in game 2. Might have been more strategy and less about Quinn Priester. But he doesn't have a ton of years under his belt, right? Came up in 2023. He's had a really good season. But it's hard to win a series against a team like the Dodgers when it's Freddie Peralta, Quinn Priester, and then bullpen games. It's just difficult. You have to be at your best. The Brewers can absolutely compete with the Dodgers if Brandon Woodruff comes back strong.
100%. And I think the fact that they won this game too, that we're about to recap in the next segment, without really using Priester in long relief, which we thought are like on piggyback, is absolutely insane. And the fact that Mizorowski did what he did, so now they've got some starters available, kind of lessens that concern about the Woodruff side of things. So that's where I am fascinated by the way that the Brewers approach this. But if they get Woodruff back, I mean, if they had him, I mean, that would be just a different story there. And of course, we have the Cubs aspect as well, but I think it puts us perfectly into the recap and then giving about a minute or two on what's up with the Cubs. So we're going to do just that when we're back here in a moment.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
I'm done with the Buffalo Bills, and I'm not upset about it because they look vulnerable. I cannot believe this team is 4-0 because they could easily be 1-3. They go on their heels, and I can't believe they have not 1 but 2 double-digit victories in games they could have very well lost.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Mike Trout, will he ask for a trade? And maybe I'm a bit of a Neanderthal for asking this, and people are going to say, listen, he's never leaving. I refuse to accept that we're just not going to get Mike Trout postseason baseball ever again. Because clearly when healthy, he can still do it. But he's also rarely healthy and still kind of expensive. It's complicated.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Course setup, Bethpage, and how soft the greens were, how long it played. It definitely was an advantage for Europe from my mind, and they putted better.
Well, but do you think in a weird way that same setup is what allows the Americans to get back in it today? Because you do see a lot of those big putts made.
Yeah.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to the Just Baseball Show on SportsGrid or wherever you get your podcasts. It's time to recap Brewers Cubs game 2. And of course, we still have one more issue to highlight, but we figured 10-minute segment here could probably give a couple minutes to the Cubs issues. But before that, let's recap how the Cubs got to an 0-2 deficit here in this series.
Brewers win 7-3. This game started off with a bang as Seiya Suzuki hit a 3-run shot in the first for Chicago, and then Andrew Vaughn did the same for Milwaukee, and we're knotted at 3 after 1. In the third, William Contreras joined the party with a dinger. Shota Imanaga was removed after only a few innings of work. He has now allowed 22 home runs since the All-Star break. The second most allowed by a pitcher in that span is 17. Jackson Chourio hit the exclamation point in the fourth with a 3-run home run, improving his postseason average to .529 in his short career as a 21-year-old. He joins Carlos Beltran as the only players in MLB history with 10-plus hits, 3-plus home runs, and 9-plus RBIs through his first 5 career postseason games. Jacob Misiorowski, I don't know if we can cuss on here. 3 innings, 1 hit, 4 Ks, no earned, broke the record for the most 103 mile-an-hour pitches thrown in a postseason game since the pitch tracking era began, and he did it in 1 inning. Aaron Ashby allowed 3 earned runs, and then the Brewers bullpen shut the door, not allowing another run. The Brewers are a wagon.
Yep. And that Misiorowski performance, I mean, that I can't emphasize enough how big that is for them, because if they're able to wrap this thing up here in 3 games, the amount of pitching that he may have actually helped them save, because they ended up just going with a bunch of different relievers who were fresh, who also didn't throw that many pitches, right? The most pitches that were thrown by a reliever was Koenig at 16. So you have everyone pretty fresh. McGill, even returning from injury, only throwing 9 pitches, and you still have Priester ready to go. Chad Patrick can give you a lot more length than 11 pitches. They're in a really interesting spot, and it felt like this game might be different. I talked about it on the last episode. I was like, okay, the one way the Cubs can maybe, start to make this a series is it's going to realistically have to be a slugfest, because the odds of them being able to match the Brewers staff 0 for 0 is unlikely. And I thought after that first inning, maybe we got the slugfest here. But just like the first game, it's like Cubs draw first blood, and then that was kind of it for a while, but even more so this time around. And then just the Brewers, man, like the offense, they're going to come up with these big swings. It's funny because through a lot of the year, it wasn't the home run ball as much as just, I think, a lot of runners in scoring position, stealing bags, doing all these little things. But right now, there's several guys in this lineup that I'm like, he could go deep right here. You saw it from Contreras, you saw it from Chourio, and then you got King Vaughn coming up big as well in the first. And that was that answer right away, that 3-run shot. That's where I was like, oh, man. The Cubs can't even hold on. Like, it's not even their fault to a degree. Like, I just feel like no lead is safe.
I can't believe how good this 21-year-old is. A reminder.
Really easy to forget that he's 21. You could have convinced me he's 23, and I've been covering him since he was, a 17-year-old prospect.
Barely legal to drink the champagne after a win, and he's hitting over 500, joining the likes of guys with like Carlos Beltran. This is an unbelievable start. And may I remind you, he's playing on one hamstring, the same hamstring that has held him out this season. He wasn't even supposed to play in this game. That was the reports. And what does he do? Hit a home run straight away to center. I mean, he's even making plays in left field, and he's hobbling after it. The guys
took him out when they were in control. Let's get him out of there. And I think that tells you, like, if they don't need him right there, like, let's get him out. And Lockridge came in later in the ballgame when they were up by enough runs, because that hammy's got to be barking at him.
And then bringing in Misiorowski is like bringing a bazooka to a knife fight.
Yeah.
That stuff. I'm laughing at my television arm. It's Mason Miller, but it's funkier.
But weirder. Yeah, it's like funkier Mason Miller, which is a problem. And the difference is Miller's been dotting, but we saw in this one, like, with the funk that Misiorowski has, as long as he's around the zone in 3 innings of 2 walks, 4 Ks, it's around the zone enough. Good luck. And,
also,
it was sword central.
I don't want to make fun of him, but there was someone in our Discord after he was celebrating that says he has dork aura.
I
did
kind of saw it too.
But
You know what? You can
whatever.
reinvent aura when you throw that hard and you're that nasty.
But that's what makes Jacob Mizorowski so interesting.
Yeah.
Right? He doesn't look like this freight train of a man. He looks like a guy who would be hanging out on your couch watching the game with you.
Just
and then
super tall.
Just super tall. And then he'd climb up on the mound.
He's like a goofy
and
guy.
throw 104, but that's his goofy arm angle. It's that low slot, ton of ride. I mean, you're seeing really good hitters look like children, like they're facing their dad who's going hard against them. Yeah. It's a different sport when you have stuff like that. And we said going into this series, we don't know what Mizorowski is going to give Milwaukee because he ended the season really poor. So not only is it great in this game to give them 3 innings of shutout baseball to elongate that bullpen, but it's got to put so much confidence in him for Pat Murphy going through this, right? You can put Jacob Mizorowski in big time spots because you know he's going to channel that aggression into 104 miles an hour. It's very similar to what Dave Roberts has found with Roki Sasaki.
Yeah.
We pitched you against the Reds in a 4-run game. You looked awesome. All right, let me give you another high leverage situation. Oh, wait, you shut the door. Oh, wait, we need the last out. Now it's Roki. Mizorowski can do the same. But the thing is, they don't need Mizorowski in the 9th because they have Abner Uribe, who's throwing demon fastballs too. You're giving these Brewers bullpen arms adrenaline, which makes the game unfair. It makes it unfair late in the game. Yeah,
it's crazy. And I think Mizorowski's fresh too. You pair the adrenaline with him being fresh. I think he ran out of gas at the end of the year. He's never thrown that many innings.
Yeah.
And he hadn't thrown since the 27th. They were tapering down his usage there. And we saw clearly, pair the adrenaline with more rest than he's had all year, and you've got a monster here. So they're in the driver's seat. I was going to ask you, if you were neutral, would you rather be in your position as the Yankees right now, down 2-0, or the Cubs position against the Brewers down 2-0? Both are going back home.
Can we cuss on here?
I don't know.
It's like, would I rather have a poop sandwich on white bread or a poop sandwich on wheat bread?
Wheat bread is healthier.
Terrible, and they're both done. Like you don't want either. So what position would you rather be in? Both are going home. It's just a matter of when and where. So no, there is no answer to that question. They're both terrible.
So why are the Cubs on the brink of going home, in your opinion? Because that's kind of wrapping up from the previous segment, right?
Yeah.
What's the biggest concern to you with the Cubs?
The starting pitching just can't go. If Shota Imanaga is giving up home runs like that, you're never going to stay in the game. Because one big swing, we saw it with Andrew Vaughn, a 3-run jack. Seiya Suzuki hit a 3-run home run in the first inning. It was evaporated like that.
Gone.
And
that was a big swing. They haven't been getting a ton of those.
Matthew Boyd, he's pitching like his arm is falling off. Like his stuff is so diminished. He pitched on 3 days rest. You can just tell he doesn't have it right now. He put up an incredible season, but fell apart in the second half. Shota Imanaga fell apart in the second half. Jameson Taillon is the only guy I trust. It's so unfortunate that Cade Horton went down with an injury because maybe
he was also eclipsing more innings than he's ever thrown.
And it's not
That's
as
why we
if
said they should add arms.
And it's not as if he was about to go shove against the Brewers. Like maybe he would have, but it's a tall task against that Brewers offense. So they're starting pitching, even if they win game 3 with Taillon, then you still go Boyd and Shota. You're not winning both of those games. The starting pitching is the problem. It's the biggest problem that they will not be able to overcome.
And on top of that, the only way you maybe can is if the bats were clicking like early season Cubs, and it ain't happening.
No,
it's not. You had Justin Turner in the leadoff spot to try to offset the left-handed opener when Michael Busch has been your guy. I don't care about left on left. Busch has got to be in there. He wasn't in there. Again, not the difference in this one, but Kyle Tucker needs to get going. PCA's at bats have not been competitive. And again, all of those things could happen. They still probably don't have a great shot because of the pitching gap here. But if you're going to win this thing, the Cubs offense has got to be, I think kind of doing its job to overcome the pitching deficiencies. And I think against this Brewers staff, it's going to be a really tall task. We got a little bit more to go with another game preview and some underrated players so far. We'll be right back.
Keep this on me for now, right now.
Uh-oh.
I was the one telling the people out here, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, if they lost the first 2 football games of the season, would still be in the hunt to make a college football playoff. I talked to Joe Lisi quite a bit during the week, and you know what Joe Lisi's been telling me? Notre Dame just might be the best football team in the country right now, and I believe him. I do. Rolling over teams. The offense is out there right now, and I don't think anybody can stop them.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Is it going to be Gabriel over the next 4 or 5 weeks? Or is it going to be...
I know.
Is it going to, but that's where they're at right now. Because that mentality, changes. We go from rebuild at 1-3 to all of a sudden at 2-3, the bell goes off and he in his head, probably drinking a beer at night, goes, hey, I can get this team to the playoffs.
You listen,
but that's the way these coaches think.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
So let's just start right there. Malik Neighbors, Tyreek Hill, done for 2025. Think of the managers that invested the draft capital. Man, oh man, what to do?
Yeah, this is really tough. I had people message me, man, I had Neighbors and Hill, and I lost them both in the same week. That's tough. It's a tough day at the office for sure, and that's why you watch us here on FST, Fantasy Sports Today. We're trying to help you.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
At this event, people from Amazon and Alexa made it very clear that in addition to Sports Highlight coming up, you will be able to perhaps buy sports tickets to events, buy movie tickets, arrange fantasy football teams, and I think somewhere down the road, maybe not too far down the road, given the NBA on Prime deal, they will allow sports betting on the television set through Alexa Plus.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Tigers fans enjoying this so far. I feel like it's more stressful than enjoyment for them. Where you see the Seattle Mariners fans, and yes, they lost game 1, they were pissed, but it seems much more hopeful. It seems much more happy. When I watch Tigers fans or, see them online or anything like that, it just feels like everyone's upset. Everyone's stressed.
I think they're just stuck in that mode with the way the second half went. I think if you zoom out and see the way the second half went, I'd be happy to be there, and the fact that they got one. But I think the fact that it's just clear that they're going to be able to potentially hang around here a little bit. And I think you got to be really excited to get out of Seattle. I think that it's a really underrated environment. Also, how it affects hitters, and you get back home where I think that could be a place for them. Also, really fun environment we saw last year. The ballpark's unique as well. Can be difficult to hit in, and let's keep these games in the mud. If I'm the Tigers, right? Like let's make these things ugly. And not to say that it's been good baseball, but I mean, by ugly, it's one team the Tigers may have 4 hits, the Mariners may have 10, and it's somehow 2-2 still through the rest of the game. And one timely hit can be the difference, and one big pitch here or there could be the difference. And I think going back to Comerica increases your chances of being able to do that. But of course, huge win there in game 2 to even things up. And now it swings still the pendulum back in the Mariners' favor because you get Logan Gilbert opposite of Jack Flaherty. That said, pretty good first outing from Flaherty. Does that change the way you feel about this pitching matchup here? And how much of an advantage to the Mariners do you think Gilbert is against Flaherty, given that Flaherty did look like he got a bit of a spark in that last time out, and the stuff was no doubt better than we saw through the regular season?
It's just hard for me to buy in after facing the Guardians. I'm sorry, right? They came into the postseason with the lowest batting average in baseball. But to your point, the stuff did look good. And he has proven before that he can throw in big-time moments. But he's not coming off the best season, and this will be a huge start for him. And now the Mariners, everybody talks about how bad they are on the road, and their record would show that they are a below 500 baseball team this year. But they actually have a higher WRC plus on the road against righties than they do at home. But Detroit, also a much better offense at home. 107 WRC plus against righties. Again, 100 is league average, so they're 7% better than a league average offense. 90 on the road, 10% below league average. Jack Flaherty's ERA is a run lower at home. He's faced Seattle once this year. He's thrown 5 innings, 2 runs. Gilbert is interesting because there are some concerning numbers, and there are other numbers that make me think he's going to dominate. Gilbert has troubles on the road. 4.74 ERA on the road this season compared to a 2.24 ERA at home. And if you look at the strikeout rate, 13 Ks per 9 at home, 10 Ks per 9 on the road.
Wow.
Opponents are hitting huge. Opponents are hitting 261 on the road against him versus 158 at home. Those are stark differences.
Yeah, I would say that's legitimate. Like that, those are splits.
But talk about splits. Here's something that I think he can dominate with that Blue Jays pitchers have shown against the Yankees. These righty fastball guys with splitters against these lefties have proven to be very effective. How do you quiet the Tigers lineup? Kerry Carpenter, Riley Green, put them on ice. So if Gilbert can be dominant against those two lefties and just do his job against a lot of so-so right-handed bats, maybe outside of Gleyber Torres, maybe outside of Spencer Torkelson, Gilbert has a path here to true domination. And the Tigers boast one of the highest strikeout rates in baseball, especially against righties. So this could be a Gilbert start where after we're like, all right, he struck out 10. He threw 6 shutty. But if he's not landing that splitter and he looks like the pitcher that he has been on the road this season, that's how the Tigers win. Because if they get a lead here, the Mariners offense is still kind of like this, right? I'm giving you good numbers about them on the road in order to kind of hype them up. The thing is, their offense has not looked good so far. Without 2 big Jorge Polanco home runs, they're going to Detroit 2-0. Yeah. Now, shout out Jorge Polanco, right? Like I'm not taking anything away from them, but it's not like the Mariners offense has looked explosive at all. And Josh Naylor did not take the flight to Detroit.
Yeah.
His wife is having a baby.
Yeah.
So if he's again not in the lineup, that's an important lefty, a lefty that used to play for the Cleveland Guardians, who has seen Jack Flaherty plenty of times. He's not going to be there. And that's why I think, to answer the first question, which started the segment, is this the best series? It might be because of all these little nooks and crannies.
Yeah.
How Tigers are more well managed. They're better on the bases. They're better at defense. But the Mariners have the better roster. What's going to win out? That's my question. And I really don't know.
And I feel like with Julio playing at this level, of course, Polanco doing what he's doing, but Julio playing at this level, Cal being the MVP candidate that he's been, and both of those guys looking the way that they are, it feels like the superstar impact is there. But again, you got a really big swing from Kerry in game 1. You'll see what you can get maybe from him in game 3 here. But I feel like that is kind of the nucleus there that can make a difference. But that can all change if Jack Flaherty gives you, one of his dominant outings. What's your prediction here? Because I think a lot of interesting numbers. I think the biggest thing to watch is, do these Gilbert road splits kick in a little bit here? Because I mean, you put up a couple runs against Gilbert, all of a sudden, I think it just changes things quickly. I don't think it's going to be like the Brewers Cubs series where right away you're picking up a 3-run shot right back. Maybe so, though. Who knows? What's your prediction and how do you feel about it? Because this is probably one of the hardest series to predict. Not that any of them are easy.
It's tough because I'm going back and forth on a lot of different things. I know that the Mariners have had issues on the road this year. I know Gilbert has had issues on the road this year, but at the same time, the Mariners ended hot on the road. So what's going to show up here? And I think losing Josh Naylor is tough. And Jack Flaherty at home against Gilbert, this one is probably the toughest one. I have to lean towards the Mariners, though. Just because even if Gilbert gives up a few runs, I assume the same for Flaherty, and I've been so impressed by this Mariners bullpen. I mean, Gabe Spire, I want to talk about him in a second when we get to underrated performances.
Oh, man.
Munoz is just untouchable at this point.
But you know that. So who's going to get you to him is the point, and that's been Spire.
It's been Spire, and you still like Bizzardo, and you still like Brash, even though in the last game it wasn't all great. But I still believe in Matt Brash.
I'll die on that hill.
Yeah, exactly. We're all going to die on that hill. So if I feel like it's a close game, yes, the Tigers have home field advantage, but I prefer the Mariners bullpen. So for me, I'll have a slight lean to the Mariners, but I hope it's the Tigers. I picked them in 5.
I got a slight lean to the Mariners as well, but I actually think it's going to be a close game. I think the bullpen advantage skews towards the Mariners here, but I still think we're going to get a good series. As you alluded to, we got some top performers when we come back.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circa Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
The course setup, Bethpage, and how soft the greens were, how long it played. It definitely was an advantage for Europe from my mind, and they putted better.
Well, but do you think, in a weird way, that same setup is what allows the Americans to get back in it today? Because you do see a lot of those big putts made.
Yeah.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
We're getting a lot of optimism here, which I don't know about. This isn't a 21-year-old football player, a devastating knee injury that basically blew, the kneecap and also multiple ligaments. But I was like, surgery, awesome, be back for next year. He might be back for next year, but the Tyreek Hill we're used to, Joe, electric on the field where nobody can catch him. People are going to be catching him now, Joe.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Florida State put up 498 rushing yards on this defense, 8 rushing touchdowns, and they almost averaged 10 yards per carry.
Tough scene.
I mean, you got to be kidding me. It should be 60 to 7.
Yeah. Give me the 7.
I just gave you the 7.
Exactly. And
Are you
the
on
extra
this?
point. I'm thinking field goal and maybe a
But
safety.
are you on
Joe.
this? This is
Over
your best
3.5.
Okay.
Didn't you read the screen? What are you
I
not
could
paying
barely
attention
read
to
it.
the show?
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Welcome back to the Just Baseball Show here on SportsGrid or wherever you get your podcast. Final stretch here. We're going to talk about some underrated players so far. Peter alluded to somebody that I was going to 100% shout out as well because I was talking about him on the last episode. I mean, underrated players so far. We're going to talk about a lot of Mariners, especially if they advance, and I don't think Gabe Spire is going to get a ton of love. Let's just start right away there. It's not only Spire just going in and giving you scoreless innings. He's not just getting clean single innings and going just 3 outs and see ya. He's inheriting some messes. He's going more than 3 outs, and he has been a huge, huge asset to this Mariners bullpen to get lefties, but then also to just bridge the gap from starter to those leverage arms.
Dan Wilson learned his lesson. Game 1, George Kirby, 3rd time through the order. Kerry Carpenter comes up to the plate, leaves him in. What does Kerry do? Hits his 5th home run of his career off George Kirby. Yep. In 11 plate appearances, 5 home runs. So what does he do in game 2? Goes straight to Spire. What's the result? Sit down. He's going to continue to go to Gabe Spire, and Gabe Spire can be this lefty annihilator. He can quiet the big-time lefties in a lineup, which is huge, right? Every bullpen needs a weapon like this, and Gabe Spire has stepped up massively. Another guy who just, I know it's been only 2 games, Dalton Varsho is hitting 750. You know what his WRC plus is? Again, another reminder for everybody listening. 100 is league average. It's the league average hitter. Aram, what's his WRC plus?
in that small of a sample,
Yep,
that
in
many
2
hits,
games.
it is like 230, 300.
605. That means he is 505% better than a league average hitter. 505% better than a league average hitter. Because we talk about Vladdy, and Vladdy is playing like a guy with his hair on fire. You know, down the lineup, you could just keep going. Alejandro Kirk has been awesome, but Dalton Varsho being this guy in Bo Bichette's absence, someone had to step up outside of the obvious. Dalton Varsho is.
I think he swung and missed at 1 pitch in these 2 games, if I've got that right. He's just controlling his at-bats, the 2 homers, just hitting the crap out of the ball. It's been ridiculous to see, and it's been kind of a theme since he came back from injury. He's just looked like a better version of himself. 11 homers in his last 40 games, if you include the postseason as well, these 2 games here. So he has been an absolute monster, huge X factor for them as well.
Teoscar Hernandez is next up for me. I know the term underrated, you're thinking about a Dodger, and it's like, oh, can he really be underrated? But when you think of the Dodgers, Teoscar Hernandez is the 14th guy that you might think of. You're going to think about all their starters.
Especially this year.
Especially this year. He's coming off a down year by his standards, especially on the defensive side. But he's a proven postseason performer. So we were waiting. Is it going to be the Teoscar of old, or is it going to be the Teoscar that we saw during the regular season? It's been anything but. He's hitting .412 with an OPS over 1,400, and he's also supporting a 10-game playoff hitting streak. Do you know who owns the Dodgers' all-time record for a playoff hitting streak? Couldn't believe this was the name. Think of a catcher in our generation for the Dodgers.
Like Austin Barnes?
AJ Ellis.
That was actually that's basically the same thing. That's
it's
crazy.
The same thing. Isn't that crazy?
That is
and
crazy.
Teoscar Hernandez is approaching that. Like, he's hitting third in this lineup for a reason. He's been so consistent. Hits righties, hits lefties, hit that big time home run. He has been awesome for the Dodgers. And last one for me, Andrew Vaughn. King Vaughn. He's hitting .333 with a 1,300 OPS and a home run. I know it's only been 2 games, but
the 2 walks too. Like, he's just getting on base. He hasn't punched out yet.
I know. So, you think about the Brewers offense, you think about Chourio, you think about Yelich, you think about Bryce Terang, how he's matured this season. But Andrew Vaughn coming in, that addition has been massive for Milwaukee, and he just keeps hitting because that's what the Brewers do. They're an incredible organization from top to bottom.
Can I give you my underrated performer? Aaron Judge. Sneaky leading the postseason. I think it hits going into the evening. I don't know if a couple other, maybe Horner would have passed him with the 2 knocks. I don't know if that's updated or counts yet. I think it is. I think he leads the postseason in hits with 8 at the time that we're recording this. Aaron Judge is slashing .444, .524, .500. Now, I agree. He needs to have bigger swings here. He has 8 hits, 1 double, and there's been some big leverage spots. But I just think it's funny when the narrative is just always Judge disappears in the playoffs. And I understand that narrative. And there's been some spots where he could have come up big this year. He is hitting .444. He is 8 for 18.
You know what that is? You know what that is? Because you watch all the games too. You're just poking at me because you want to get me pissed. Everybody who watches the games sees that he's not the same Aaron Judge. He's been way too aggressive. He's making weird fielding decisions. That ball down the line, you never see Judge do that. You never see Judge swing at a first pitch fastball up and in. You never see Judge swing at a splitter down and away. You never see that during the regular season. He's over aggressive in the playoffs. He's trying to do too much. Settle in, Judge.
I agree. I just think it's sneaky that he's
settle in. Settle in.
I agree. They need that. And we'll see. We'll check back in here because we got a lot of games to recap moving forward here. Of course, you can find us on all the podcast platforms. As always, thank you so much for listening. Look forward to talking ball with you later this week and next week.
If you're O'Connell, you have a serious decision to make. Like, what is, again, he's been hurt now in back-to-back years. McCarthy.
Yeah.
You don't know what you have.
100%.
There's a similar situation to what the Niners did with Trey Lance. Like, if the guy can't stay on the field, and again, the limited, you have to do what's best for the organization.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Florida State put up 498 rushing yards on this defense, 8 rushing touchdowns, and they almost averaged 10 yards per carry.
Tough scene.
I mean, you got to be kidding me. It should be 60 to 7.
Yeah. Give me the 7.
I just gave you the 7.
Exactly. And
are
miss
you
the
on
extra
this?
point. I'm thinking field goal and maybe a
But
safety.
are you on
Joe.
this? This is
Over
your best
3.5.
Okay.
Didn't you read the screen? What are you not paying attention to the show?
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
I can tell you right now, Jamar Chase is getting moved on a lot of teams. And I understand why. I mean, you don't have Joe Burrow coming back this year. It's just not happening. And then Jake Browning has been less than impressive. There's no doubt about that. So Jamar Chase is still an extraordinary talent, and I think buying him low is interesting. Why? Because if you do look, the schedule does get a little bit easier. The defense is still bad. Jake Browning has been productive.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
The Americans got to find answers in these partnerships, and I think they need to look at their who's making these decisions from a stat standpoint.
Well, it's so funny to me, especially coming off of the Walker Cup just a few weeks before, how it just seems like there's this glaring chasm between American partnered match play and American individual singles match play.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.